The Legend of the Eight Immortals.
Chapter 11, The Jiao's Revenge and the False Master's Blunder. Do you remember the little mouse from an earlier tale, the one who later transformed into a bat? Long ago, Piao Miao Genren told Hua Long Genren of a creature, a mere mouse that transformed into a bat to guard the cave of a great immortal. For 1,000 years, that bat lived a life of quiet devotion, eventually earning the right to be honored by the people of Guanku. But before his 1,000-year vigil was complete, a vengeful Jiao rose from the depths and tore his temple to ruins. The bat, humble and content, did not complain. He returned to the mountains to see his master, Wenmei Genmen. After hearing the tale, Wenmei Genren sighed deeply. "You began as the lowliest of creatures," he said softly. "To have achieved so much is rare. People may think 1,000 years is a long time to practice, but to rise from such humble beginnings and become a seeker of the way is a destiny few will ever know. Heaven has not been unkind to you." The bat bowed his head. "I understand, Master. I was the lowest of the low, but through your mercy and the prayers of the people, I have found my humanity. I am ready to leave the path of beasts and enter the world of men. I do not fear the hardships ahead. If I endure, it is by your grace. If I fail, I shall have no regrets." Wenmei Genren smiled, his eyes brightening. "Such resolve! You are truly an exceptional talent among your kind. In this world, those who survive extraordinary trials are destined for greatness. The moment has come for you to cross the bridge between animal and man." Wenmei Genren prepared a formal decree to the heavenly court and the underworld. "I shall send you to be reborn into a virtuous family. But heed my words. Once you are human, do not let greed or desire blind you. Seek justice, hate evil, and never waver in your kindness. When the time is right, another shall come to take you as his disciple and guide you back to the path of immortality. Remember, the suffering you face is not a curse. It is the very road you must walk to reach greatness." With tears of gratitude, the bat accepted his fate. He had only one question. "Master, you say another will guide me. Will I not be your disciple any more?" Wenmei Genren looked at him with great affection. "Our bond of fate is changing, not ending. The one who will find you is my brother in the way. You will gain another master of supreme virtue. To have two such masters is a blessing beyond measure." In the underworld, the Lord of the Underworld consulted the registers. "There is a man named Sun Jie," he said. "He has accumulated virtue and merit, saving countless lives, yet he has no child. Let the bat go forth and be reborn into his family." The judge amended the records at once, and the order was sent back. Wenmei Genren then had the bat escorted onward. Then the Underworld's reincarnation office personally sent it down to be reborn among mortals. Just then, Sun Jie's wife, Lady Law, was 10 months pregnant. That night she dreamed of an underworld official who brought a black-winged creature and said to her, "You and your husband have done good for many years, and heaven's heart has been moved. The Lord of the Underworld has sent me to deliver this creature of immortal destiny, to become your son. This is a seed of the Immortals, with a future beyond measure. Guard him well and do not take him lightly." With that, he released it, and it flew into her womb. Startled awake, she at once felt sharp pains. Before half an hour had passed, a baby boy was born, fair-faced, red lips, with clear brows and handsome features. The couple rejoiced beyond words. From what she had seen in the dream, they knew this child was no ordinary one, but surely a person of rare endowment. Because he was bestowed by the Immortals, they named him Xianci, Immortal bestowed. Time passed swiftly. In the blink of an eye, Xianci had already passed his 10th year. Sun Jie and his wife invited a renowned tutor to teach him his studies. Xianci was heaven-granted in intelligence. He could read 10 lines at a glance and grasp 10 truths from hearing one. By the age of 14, he had absorbed the histories of past and present and the writings of many renowned figures. Word soon spread throughout the surrounding regions that the Sun family's child was a heaven-born seed of the Immortals, gifted with extraordinary talent. A provincial governor surnamed Feng heard of him and sent an invitation. Though Sun Jie repeatedly declined on account of his son's youth, the governor, after speaking with Xianci in person, recognized his true learning and became determined to enlist him. Before he had reached his 20th year, Xianci was recommended and appointed as a lower minister. All important local affairs were first discussed with him before being carried out. In less than a year, the administration was transformed and the people praised it without exception. His youth and brilliance soon drew admiration throughout court and countryside alike. Many noble families, each with daughters to marry, sent matchmakers to his door. Xianci, mature beyond his years, placed the affairs of state above all else, and, citing his youth, declined every proposal, saying such matters required his parents' decision. At last, a senior minister named Bo Gao, deeply impressed by Xianci, resolved to betroth his second daughter, Huiyar, to him. Bo Gao personally visited Sun Jie and his wife to seek their consent. Having long heard of the daughter's virtue and talent, the couple readily agreed, and the wedding was set for the 3rd month of the coming year. But fate had already begun to stir. One winter afternoon, as Huiyar watched the servants gathering winter plums in the garden, she suddenly noticed a young man standing outside the fence, peering in through its gaps. Unease rose in her heart. As she turned to leave, a flash of eerie green light burst before her eyes. Her vision spun, and she collapsed to the ground, her senses lost. When the maids rushed to help her up, she erupted into madness, crying out, struggling to rush toward the garden gate. 3 or 4 women clung to her with all their strength, yet still could not restrain her. The commotion quickly alarmed the household. Bo Gao, just returned from court, hurried to the garden with his wife and eldest daughter, followed by servants of every rank. There they saw Huiyar locked in furious struggle, her attendants exhausted, her garments torn, her hair disheveled. Her eyes stared wildly, foam flecked her lips, and incoherent cries poured from her mouth. Even before her parents, she showed no shame or recognition, straining only to break free. Bo Gao knew at once this was no ordinary illness. Stepping forward, he struck her and thundered, "What demon dares cause trouble in the house of loyal servants? Do you not know that my family has served with loyalty for generations, without offense to heaven or man? Even the gods of the upper realms have never slighted us. How could some petty evil spirit act with such insolence?" At these words, Huiyar suddenly fell silent. Without speaking, she rose and walked straight back to her chamber, where she sat rigid upon the bed, her expression steeped in sinister force. Physicians were summoned from far and wide, each giving a different diagnosis, none in agreement. Prescriptions piled up, yet Huiyar only laughed coldly and refused to speak. At last, following her mother's plea, Bo Gao prayed to heaven and drew one prescription at random. The medicine was prepared and forced upon her. She drank it and burst into laughter. Her voice changed, deep and male. You fools, it sneered, the potions of ordinary doctors. How could thousands of them cure my condition? My body is perfectly sound. If you doubt it, bring a physician skilled in reading the pulse. Let him examine me. Do I show the signs of illness? You have invited nothing but worthless frauds, good only for swindling lives and coin. With that, she poured the steaming medicine into a basin. Though it had been but a small bowl, it filled the basin at once, rising into a sharp tower-like mound. All who saw it were struck with terror. The voice laughed again. I am the Dragon King of the Western Sea. Long ago in Guanku, there stood a bat, disciple of Wenmei Zhenren, set there to receive incense by his master's command. Because he favored the old dragon of Guanku and ignored me, I flew into a rage and destroyed his temple. He, in turn, called upon the old dragon, who pressed me beneath the sea, leaving me unable to rise. Later, that dragon even stole my title and was appointed one of the Dragon Kings of the Four Seas. This time, when Piao Miao Zhenren came under Lao Jun's command to move the mountains and fill the seas, they turned the waters into vast salt wells. Beneath one of those fire wells lay the place where I was buried. Through their moment of carelessness, I finally escaped. The possessed girl sneered. I learned that the bat has now been reborn as Sun Ji's son and has become your future son-in-law, holding the office of lower minister. I came seeking revenge and found your daughter instead. Knowing she was to marry him, my anger flared. You would do well to break this engagement. Otherwise, he will surely die by my hand. Your daughter would only become a widow. Better she marry me instead. By rank, he is but a petty official. I am a divine dragon, cultivated for 10,000 years. Marry her to me, and I will guide her toward immortality. Even you would gain your share of benefit. What could that mortal boy possibly offer? Bo Gao shouted in fury. Nonsense! You are nothing but fish, shrimp, turtles, and shell creatures of the sea who have cultivated demonic arts, coming to deceive the world and harm the innocent. Such lawless cruelty, heaven itself will not permit it. Enraged, the Jiao smashed tables and chairs, seized knives and staves, and raged through Huiyer's trembling body. Left with no other choice, the family summoned a Taoist exorcist named Ding De Quan. Ding, the exorcist, arrived bearing a 7-star sword, clad in an 8-trigram Taoist robe, his face full of supposed immortal dignity. He mounted the altar, burned talismans, pointed east and traced west, making a great show of incantations. After a time, he suddenly struck the command tablet 3 times and cried aloud, "By order of the Most High Lord Lao, act at once according to the law." Before the words had fully left his mouth, a surge of black vapor rushed straight toward the altar and engulfed him. Ding panicked, flung the command tablet to the ground, and began wildly swinging his sword in all directions, leaping and shouting like a madman. The onlookers below believed he was fiercely battling the demon and secretly admired his supposed skill. But in truth, the black vapor did not disperse at all. Instead, it stained Ding's once immortal face completely black, so dark that he looked more like a ghost than a Taoist. The crowd could not help laughing, though fear lingered among them. "Why has Master Ding turned into a black man?" someone cried. Ding heard nothing. He continued dancing and flailing in madness, sweat pouring from his face like rain. From frenzy he passed into exhaustion, from exhaustion into collapse. At last he could no longer stand. Worst of all, his mouth was sealed tight. He could not utter a single word. Even his favorite spell, that oft-repeated "act at once according to the law," would not come out. Only then did the crowd realize the truth. He was not subduing the demon. He himself had already been subdued. Bo Gao, being a man of benevolence, was deeply distressed. Together with his wife, they repeatedly begged for mercy. The demons, still possessing Huir, demanded that they address him Immortal Lord, swear never again to offend him, and promise never to summon another exorcist. The couple agreed to everything. Only then did Ding suddenly cry out, "Immortal Lord, spare my life! This humble Taoist knows his sin." The words had barely fallen when he collapsed atop the altar. The servants rushed forward. Ding lay stiff as a corpse, with only the faintest trace of breath, so weak it seemed ready to vanish at any moment. Bo Gao's regret was beyond words. He ordered the altar dismantled at once and had Ding carried outside. Hot water was given to him, and after a long while he slowly revived and was able to sit up. In truth, Ding had no serious injury at all. He had merely exhausted what little Taoist power he possessed by jumping and flailing too vigorously, leaving his vital energy depleted. Seeing Bo Gao beside him, Ding suddenly began to weep. "My lord," he said, "this humble Taoist spared no effort in subduing the demon. Alas, that creature's strength was boundless. Had it not been for my deep cultivation and my lord's great fortune, I would not have survived. I have already severed both of his feet. I wished to take his life, but recalling my master's command and the heavens' mercy toward living beings, I dared not kill him. I released him, forbidding him to return and cause further trouble. From this day on, my lord may rest at ease." As he spoke, he repeatedly scrunched his blackened face, his half-red, half-white eyes glinting eerily, a sight both pitiful and terrifying. Bo Gao, being kind-hearted, could not bear to expose the man's lies, yet the servants, hearing such outrageous claims and seeing his appearance, could no longer restrain themselves and burst into loud laughter. Only then did Ding begin to sense something was wrong. A faint flush of red crept across his blackened face. One servant stepped forward and handed him a small round mirror, saying with a grin, "Master Ding, perhaps you should first take a look at your own honored appearance before claiming merit." Ding, unaware of what had happened to his face, took the mirror and glanced at it, then screamed in terror. He leapt from the bed and shouted, "Everyone come quickly! Everyone come quickly! That demon is hiding inside the mirror!" At this, even Bo Gao could no longer contain himself. He bent double with laughter, pointing at the servant who had brought the mirror, unable to speak for a long while. What exactly Master Ding saw in the mirror and what became of this affair will be revealed in the next chapter.